Hey guys, how long should a fragrance last? Let's get into it. So first off, I want to thank you for being here at the TR channel. This is where we learn about fragrances, we find fragrances that are going to match our collections, and we certainly do learn about them. Now some of my videos, as y'all see, are more about learning about fragrances. This video is more about learning fragrances instead of reviews. If you want top 10 reviews, I got them. Please look at my playlist. And if you think this video is kind of similar to how many sprays of a fragrance I should wear, I have that review as well, if that's more of the topic you're interested in. But guys, let's get into it. My topic here today, you clicked on it, you know about it, is how long should a fragrance last? Now this is a topic I think that has sparked some small debates here and there in the fragrance communities, and with good reason. We all have different opinions. We all have different experiences as well with skin chemistry and all kinds of different factors. But I wanted to make this video because I think there's some misconceptions in the fragrance world, and there's certainly some things we can be very hopeful about. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the misconceptions. What are these misconceptions? Well, one of the first ones, especially from guys who are new to the fragrance game, they say, I want the strongest fragrance I can get. I want the fragrance that projects the most and lasts the longest, and that makes the fragrance the best, no matter what. Certain reviewers almost seem to kind of encourage that line of thought. We have guys, that's a misconception because, of course there's skin chemistry and there's all kinds of little things that can affect it, but you really want to wear a fragrance, not only for factors of like your own personality to match the situation, but it really depends on the event and kind of the character you're trying to, the kind of image of yourself you're trying to exude or show everybody. So if you're going to an event, a convention, a party, if you're just going to school, you can easily get away with a 4-hour fragrance, and that fragrance might have a lot more top notes where the fragrance is very fresh and it's very lively, it's very clean. And guys, that's probably going to get you a better reaction overall than something that lasts 8 hours, something that's really loud. I think that is the kind of situation that a lot of younger guys need to be told. A lot of people will just say to go for Dior Sauvage. I'm not knocking Dior Sauvage or any of that kind of family of fragrances, but especially if you oversprayed and you're really close to people in a classroom, you're going to be choking people out, guys. So you can get away with wearing less sprays, but you might be better off just wearing, the normal amount of sprays, 3 sprays or so of a fresh fragrance. It might even get you better compliments and better attention. So guys, that's one of the misconceptions. Another misconception I wanted to talk about is really about the concentration of the juice itself. It certainly is a factor on how well a fragrance projects. If it has the higher concentration on bottles of fragrance, they'll tell you the volume. It'll say something like 79% at times, or it can be all kinds of different numbers. And that's usually the water or just the ISOE super, or kind of the chemical structure. It's more of a filler liquid. So if you do the math and you have 79% of that volume, you have 21% concentration of the fragrance. Some people specifically go out of their way to find a fragrance that really has the highest concentration, and it really depends on the fragrance notes itself on how well it projects, and that's going to affect kind of how it evaporates off your skin. So for example, I wanted to talk a little bit about Versace Pour Homme. This is a fragrance that has tons of top notes, very fresh, very bright, projects an awful lot, guys. So You might think that this fragrance, might not project very well because it doesn't have maybe the highest concentration. It's just an EDT. But guys, this fragrance projects very well for the first 45 minutes or even more, and it projects very loudly or fairly loudly for that amount of time, and still has a good projection overall for about 6 hours or so. So guys, we have to take into account what the notes are going to do and really test a fragrance. So that's a misconception I wanted to talk about. So again, with the misconception of, the environment we might be in and where we're going, the misconception might be that again, with the longevity and trying to get the longest longevity and the best projection, people might even let that influence what fragrances they buy or even what they try, because if they hear a fragrance has only 4 hours projection, they might just avoid the fragrance altogether. I was guilty of this early in my fragrance game. I kind of shied away or didn't even want to get into Atelier fragrances at all because I thought 4 hours or even 3.5 was just way too little. And it's not even about reapplying, guys, and reapplying can really help you if you just carry a little atomizer with you. But a lot of activities we go to aren't going to last very long. You might be around some, people, getting a bite to eat, just hanging out with friends, or just doing whatever. And that one event for that one period of time might only be, less than 3 hours, less than 2 hours. And then you could wear another fragrance, for another situation. So that could actually be something that's beautiful to you and something that kind of a strategy or something you might actually, grow to like. Because with some of these really intense fragrances, especially if you can get into extrait de parfums, things stronger than parfums, once you even put one spray on yourself, you're probably committing to a whole day of smelling like that fragrance. And that might be something that actually is a negative for some people. And that's usually with more expensive fragrances and niche fragrances, I know. But even some of the designer fragrances or parfums on the market, you're committing to 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, sometimes more than that, especially if you're over applying, guys. So that's just some misconceptions I wanted to address there. So guys, again, another misconception is I wanted to talk about projection. Some fragrances like Encre Noir, which is a great, very dark, woody, kind of pencil shavings, kind of inky, very dark and masculine, kind of brooding fragrance. This is the kind of fragrance, because people think that it's a dark fragrance, that it might project very heavily. Now guys, we have to, in the fragrance world, start maybe talking more about compositions of fragrances. What compositions are is how the fragrance is made up. In a fragrance, if you divide it into different parts, you can categorize those notes, the oils and the ingredients that go into the fragrance as top notes, middle notes, and base notes. So we have, if a fragrance is dark, that's going to have darker notes, those base notes that last a really long time and do tend to be fairly strong. But just because it has those notes and just because it's a fragrance like that doesn't mean the fragrance is going to project extremely heavily. Some fragrances, like Encre Noir here, and even a lot of Tom Fords, manage to make their fragrances light enough and well blended enough and have a composition in that they're not too dark and they're not too heavily concentrated that they're overbearing. There's still fragrances that are going to last 6 hours or so, have fair projection, pretty good sillage, but they don't last more than 6 hours usually, and they get the job done, but they're not particularly loud or obnoxious or anything like that. So that's kind of a misconception or just a judgment we might make that if we're we don't know these things or haven't thought about them or have heard these concepts before. So I'm making this video just to share these things with you, and I hope my passion comes across, because I do love fragrances, and I do want to share this advice to you. So guys, if you're a young guy, especially if you're younger than 18, in most situations you're going to be in, a fresh fragrance is going to do you unbelievably well. Mont Blanc Individual fragrances like this, Polo Red, even if this one only lasts 4 hours, even if a fragrance doesn't project the best, because you're close to people, again, in that situation, you don't need the loudest fragrance. You don't need the fragrance that's going to last the longest. But you're going to get higher quality ingredients sometimes out of, the fragrances that are more unique, or, just don't last as long, because they're able to put more money in fewer ingredients, or the quantity of those ingredients. So guys, this is the kind of fragrance that smells beautiful, but it doesn't last as long as it can. Dolce & Gabbana, the One, is certainly a fragrance that is notorious for that. But guys, the good news is that a lot of fragrance perfumers, the people who make these fragrances, are taking into account that we as consumers, we as purchasers, do want fragrances that last 6 hours or more. A lot of the times, a lot of guys even want 8 hours plus. They think 8 hours is the gold standard. Anything less than that, they don't want it. So that's a good thing in a way, because perfumers are making their fragrances last longer. But I do worry that there's a possibility that they'll be sacrificing uniqueness, or maybe the quality a little bit, because they're trying to make their fragrances last longer. And guys, in the fragrance world, again, these are all concepts. We all have different wants, different needs. We all have different priorities in what we wear. I would argue that to get your nose on these fragrances, to try them out, to be more open to fragrances that can fit different situations, because again, not every situation needs the strongest fragrance, guys. And this is certainly, one of the big topics, at least one of the big issues that comes to mind when we talk about date fragrances. Now, because there's a huge divide between guys who are going to parties on dates, are going to, try to pick up maybe somebody, or versus somebody who's doing a close encounter, and somebody who's, just going to a really nice dinner, or Netflix and chill, or whatever you might be up to. So guys, those are two very different environments, two very different kinds of fragrances. And for the date night, for the close encounter, for when you're going to be, really close, possibly even skin to skin, you need a fragrance like La Nuit de l'Homme. You need a fragrance like CH Privé that doesn't have the strongest projection, like Midnight in Paris. You need a fragrance like that out there that smells higher quality and lasts a good while, but it doesn't have to last the longest. It can be a beautiful skin scent and just have a good amount of sillage. So guys, I hope this was an informational video. I'm going to try to do more videos like this where I, share topics with you, I share information with you, and I hope you enjoy these. I hope you share this video. I hope you like and subscribe down below, because this is what we do here at the feat.TR channel. Again, I really would like your participation and comments below. Let me know your thoughts about this topic. Let me know if you like the strongest fragrances possible, no matter the situation. Let me know if my opinions are even a good idea, to kind of match the fragrance to your situation and with your personality as well. and let me know what you think, your thoughts about how the fragrance industry is changing. So guys, let's get into it. So next time on the Scentatar channel, I'll see you there. Until next time, bye.